Hello and welcome back to the 8th episode of the Growth Portfolio Updates. So in this episode, I wanted to talk about the portfolio. We have decreased in value to 43,000 from the highs of last video, which were around 45,000. I think there's one important thing to say at the start of this video, and that is that there's always going to be ebbs and flows in the market. You can't really expect in the short term for the market to just consistently go upwards or consistently go downwards, and you got to expect there to be ebbs and flows and good times and bad times. And if anything, you want to try and take advantage of any possible ebbs and be ready to buy into stocks that you think are positioned to, recover well in the future, and that will come out of the ebbs stronger than before. So we have decreased a little bit. As you can see, the day change is almost $1,000 down from Friday, and on the month we're almost down about 10%. So we've lost a lot of value recently. But yeah, there's a lot of negative sort of sentiment in the market, and in today's episode I kind of wanted to go over one of those things, which was the CrowdStrike accident, which temporarily disabled a bunch of Microsoft computers and forced them to be rebooted. And my opinion on it is, while I do think it's a very big mistake, and obviously it should have never really happened, and it was completely CrowdStrike's fault, I don't think that it defines their company, and I don't think it's going to perpetually bring down CrowdStrike stock. I don't think that their company's has fundamentally changed because of this event. I think it was a mistake, and I think it was a big mistake, but I don't think it is going to completely ruin their company, and I think they'll recover from it. Because I don't think it is a mistake that they will likely repeat in the future, and because it was such a small, simple thing that they kind of just messed up with their release, with their update release, I think that in the future they'll be a lot more cautious, and I don't think they will repeat this mistake. If this does become a habit with CrowdStrike and they continue to make these mistakes that bring down tons of computers, then yes, I think that it is a fundamental issue with the business. But one mistake, even though it was a big mistake that was very costly economically, I don't think that should define the company, and I don't think that is ultimately going to matter in the long run for CrowdStrike. I think that in a year from now, people aren't even going to remember this event, and they're not really going to hold. I don't think CrowdStrike is just going to forever be the company that made this one mistake. I think that they'll eventually move past that. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about CrowdStrike because I have been very bullish on CrowdStrike in past videos, and I continue to be bullish on CrowdStrike. It's not one of my biggest holdings. It is actually much smaller. I only have about 5 shares of CrowdStrike, but I am very bullish on the company. The main reason it's a smaller holding is because, one, I wasn't able to buy into CrowdStrike fractionally until recently, because Schwab only lets you buy into fractional shares for companies in the S&P 500, and CrowdStrike only recently was added to the S&P 500. So now that it has been added, though, I've increased my stake. As it's been dipping, I've bought about 0.27 fractional CrowdStrike shares, and I think that CrowdStrike will recover. I don't think you should make big bets in the short term. I wouldn't be playing with options on CrowdStrike and going super long, because I think that in the short run, it looks really messy, and there's a lot of lawsuits that they have to get through. Potentially, there's at least the United lawsuit. That's a big one. So I think that there's a lot of negative headwinds in the short term. So I wouldn't do any trading or any risky moves with CrowdStrike. But I think that in the long run, they will recover. But for the short term, I feel like it could go down like another, who knows, like 40% or more. You never know. So I'm continuing to add to CrowdStrike. I'm not going all in on CrowdStrike, but I am buying in more now that it's down. I feel like now is a good opportunity for me to start buying into a lot of these stocks that I haven't been buying into as much recently. Like CrowdStrike's been one. Also, Nvidia is coming down a little bit, which is good. I might be adding to that. Amazon dropped a lot on Friday. That one looks really interesting now. And Microsoft as well. Or if Meta drops, that would be really good too. But those are some of the main ones I'm like looking at aside from CrowdStrike. I guess also Google is one I'm always looking at as well. And that's sort of my philosophy, is that during these ebbs, I want to be looking for stocks that are down, but I think are resilient. Stocks that, even though we're going through economic downturns, or the market's not performing well, which stocks are like the most likely to be able to come out of this like stronger than before, and which stocks will continue to grow even in an economic downturn and be able to really have explosive recoveries once we do start to flow upwards. And I like a lot of big tech stocks for that. I like Meta, I like Microsoft, I like Google, I like it, Nvidia, Amazon, and CrowdStrike too. So I think those companies are fairly strong. I think out of them, probably CrowdStrike is the most risky of them. So I would focus on the other ones more, probably, is what I'm going to do. But I really do think that CrowdStrike is more than just this accident, and that the company is really strong. I'll have to see how it affects sort of their business relationships going forward, because who knows, maybe like United sues them and then looks for a different cybersecurity partner to work with, and it could affect their relationships, and I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But I just don't see it being a super long-term thing for them. I think this is mostly just a 1 to 2 year headwind for CrowdStrike, and I don't see them being too affected in the long run by this. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about and kind of my strategy. The portfolio is down, but I'm not too worried because I've been through these sorts of times before in in 2022 when the market went down, and I kind of know what it's like for the market to ebb downwards. And if anything, I want to be prepared and try to be able to find stocks that I've mentioned that kind of have that ability to withstand these ebbs and will come away stronger. So that's sort of what I'm looking for, and that's sort of my opinion on the whole CrowdStrike accident and how I think CrowdStrike will perform going forward. I think that in the short term, you can expect a lot of volatility, and it's a very dangerous company, I'd say, in this short-term lens. But I think that in the long run, I think they're still poised to recover and become an even better, stronger company than they ever were. So yeah, I'm still bullish on CrowdStrike long term. We'll have to see how it changes their business going forward, but I don't think it'll have too much of an impact. So yeah, that's been the portfolio update. Hopefully the market recovers a bit, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.